Okay, this is my film club again. Alright, hey everybody, I'm Eric. Most of you know who I am. There's a couple people in here that don't, but I'm the leader of this club. And today I'm going to be talking to you about pre-visualization and storyboarding. On a film set, the job that is most important is the director's job. It's not the cast, it's not the crew, it's the director. The director is the person that gives the film its signature and its identity. Pre-visualization is one of the most important jobs that a director has, if not the most important. Whether or not he does it right or he does it wrong can make or break a movie. Now, as most of you know, I'm a director myself, obviously not on as big a scale as somebody in Hollywood, but I direct short films and put them online and stuff. So like, if here's Hollywood, here's me. Regardless of where you are on the hierarchy of filmmaking, it doesn't really matter because the process remains exactly the same. Now, pre-visualization requires three things. It requires you to understand the tone of your film. It requires you to understand how to communicate that tone to your audience. And it requires you to be able to communicate with your cast and crew. So let's run through this. First, understanding the tone. You got to ask yourself, what movie am I making? Is it horror, thriller, action, sci-fi, whatever? Because movies are shot in different ways depending on what the genre is. It's all about what it is because they're not shot the same way. But what's more important is that you go with how you feel. Whenever you read the script or whatever it is you're basing your movie off of, maybe it's not like a straight script or whatever, regardless, it's most important what you feel because the subject that you're making a movie out of, different directors can have different ways of doing that same thing. Like on the subject of, say, murder, Alfred Hitchcock, his movies were a little bit more upbeat in regards to that sort of thing. And then you take somebody like David Fincher, who made Zodiac, which is about a serial killer. That one's a lot more gritty and depressing. So, that's the same subject, but two different directors took it in two different ways. And that's okay, but it's, that's the point. Next, what you got to do is be able to communicate that with your audience. Communicate the tone that you're trying to set with your audience. This is the part where you get to pick the shots and the camera angles. This is the creative part. And if you can't do that on your own, like if you're having trouble with that, then one thing you can do is you can use other movies for inspiration. You can look back at other movies that you like for inspiration. Quentin Tarantino has said that he steals from other movies. Now, this isn't true, he's exaggerating a little bit, but what he's trying to say is that he uses older movies for inspiration, and you can definitely see that with his movies like Django Unchained. You can definitely see the spaghetti western elements in that movie. So yeah, it's really good to use inspiration. Now, the next thing that you got to do is you got to be able to communicate what's in your head with your cast and crew so that you can properly film it. Now, you can either do this by communicating through words, which is, that's good too, but one way that makes it really easy is if you storyboard. Now, what storyboarding is it's a sketch that you draw out to express, like visually express to the people you're working with what is in your head visually. So let me just demonstrate that real quick. You don't have to be good in order to do it. I mean, that helps obviously, but you don't have to be good. Can you see this? You don't have to be good, but that you don't. This is just a way to express what's in your head. Now, for this, let's say we're making a horror movie. Okay. One thing that happens in horror movies a lot is really intense close-ups because it creates a sense of uneasiness. Now, one example that I could use is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's an inspiration I could use because in that movie there's lots of intense close-ups. So let's just go with that. So in this frame here, we just draw the eyes out. Again, doesn't have to be good. It's just kind of a rough idea so that the people you're working with know what's in your head. Like real rough, doesn't have to be good. And then another thing you could do to add some more dynamics to it is you could add some lighting effects. Like in Dracula, the 1931 movie with Bela Lugosi, there's a thing they do where they have lights coming across his eyes so it draws focus. So if you want to sketch that in, you can do that. You know, this is a general idea of what you're going for. And really, that's it, guys. You can move back over here. Did you just stop it?
No.
Oh. Anyway, that's the idea, guys. And so, storyboarding, directors have different opinions about it and stuff. Like Martin Scorsese, who directed Goodfellas, he said, quote, that's where he begins. So for him, it's super important. But for somebody like Paul Greengrass, who made The Bourne Ultimatum and The Bourne Supremacy, he says that he doesn't really storyboard. So for him, it's not as important. You know, so like it's a good tool, but some directors use it and some don't. It just depends on, you know, how you want to communicate with your cast and crew. But anyway, guys, yeah, that's pretty much it. In conclusion, the 3 things that you got to keep in mind whenever you're pre-visualizing a scene is you gotta understand the tone of your film. You have to be able to communicate that with your audience, and you have to be able to communicate with your cast and crew. Like I said, I direct films, and this is the process I use, and it's worked for me pretty well so far. So I hope you guys will learn something from this, and I appreciate you listening.